evening, everyone, and welcome back to King B's Daily Podcast. And this is our Spotlight series where we put a company under the spotlight. And today it's all about Canadian Overseas Petroleum, or COPL. So we got some really good feedback yesterday on our Prem Spotlight about doing timelines and a bit of risk and then a bit of hope at the end. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing today. So today we're going to take it back to January 2021 and the start of the atomic deal, suspension, post-suspension, and then the progress or not from there. So first up, January 2021. So this is when we first hear about the atomic deal, and they're talking about the two assets that they have that COPL are going to take on for 65 million in total, with sort of 45 million given to Atomic and then 20 million extra as part of the senior credit facility. And we'll come on to that a bit later. So the predicted are Barron Flats 5,000 BOPD, which is 2p production rate. Coal Creek 3,500. So great. The asset sounds brilliant. So what a great piece of business. It seemed like on paper. And it is. You know, you can't make up those figures. That is upwards potential, remember. So it's not saying it's going to get there. It's just saying that is the potential that has been thought about of those assets. Then, February 2021, we hear a bit more. So about this senior lender, where the term is 4 years. It's 65 million with 41 million paid in cash to Atomic. They're talking about the asset price being 101 million. The proved and probable is 185 million to the company, but that's only at $39 a barrel, and that's 2020 pricing. And we know what happened next. So again, looks good on paper, really good assets. The pricing is low, so look at it now. You know, it's looking good, isn't it, with all these things? So COPL looking great so far. July 2021, we've got the first set of results. Again, not much happening because the asset hasn't really come into the company yet, so it's still just on a normal assets. BOPD of 1,220. Remember those figures. So if you want to start writing notes at this stage, start writing notes about BOPDs, because we're going to track that and track the money and where it's going. I think that's the two threads throughout this podcast. But they've uplifted that. So the net to them is 706. But they've uplifted that to 1,800. So it's looking good, isn't it? That's a really good uplift for COPL. So a good start. Then in August 2021, we see the prospectus. And I'm going to pick this apart because this is really important. If there's one bit you're going to take away from this prospectus, and the kicker I'm going to give in a minute is the bit I would like you to take away as the main risk, okay, with investing in this company. There's assets are good. There are some risks. So I would like you to sort of pay attention to those to make sure we make informed decisions. So they talk about a loss of 13 million back in 2021. There's hedges and different things that cause that. But they've increased their assets, which is great. Now, the first little caveat in this prospectus is their risk management contracts will expire in February 2024. Now, risk management contracts are there to basically manage the risk to commodity pricing changes, basically. And that is February 2024 where that expires. And these contracts are really important. And we're in November now, 2023. Then there's a little bit in there that says the risks are that the ability to repay the debt. Lots of companies have to put that because, you know, everyone can have that problem. Anything can happen. Okay, and then they also talked about potential undisclosed liabilities not picked up in the DD work they've done. Again, all companies need to do that. So I'm not going to pick this apart too much in terms of the other stuff because we know about the assets. We'll talk about those already. Well, the bit I would like to really pick apart is the senior lender with the 65 million. So these are the facts in the RNS. So there's a London interbank offered rate, okay, or LIBOR, plus 10.5% interest. From the first anniversary, paid monthly. 10.5% from the first anniversary, paid monthly. Okay. Then the main kicker is that the cash resources in the company, if they exceed 2.5 million, the senior lender gets first dibs on any money above 2.5 million. They also control capex spending on ratios and ensure that the company is basically diligent with their money and spend it wisely. And if they don't, then the senior lender can go, no, you got to pay that to us instead. So they get kind of first dibs on all money, really, and they kind of, without controlling the assets, control what the company do with those assets. So they are essentially in the background control of what's happening on a day-to-day basis. Like, and we'll see in future RNSs, they crop up a lot with kind of waivers and different things. So the company have to go to them a lot and basically ask them what they can do. They won't put that in RNSs, but it's in this prospectus, and they basically hold a charge over any money over 2.5 million. And it's something people would have missed in that RNS. So we've now taken it to August 2021. Okay. And then we had suspension. Then they come out of suspension. The share price spikes because it sounds great. On paper, it's amazing. And not many people have dug into the senior lender facility and different things at the time. The assets looked great. So September 2021. So we're next up. Okay. First bit of news about their operations. So 24% up in operations. Brilliant. 1,604 net. So we had, 700 odd, 800 odd net before. So that's a really good uplift. I think it's more than they're saying. They're talking about like for like in terms of operational balances here. I'm talking about the last one I've read out. So, that's a good increase. And they've also talked about an oil discovery at the Barron Flats, which is brilliant. So all great. September 2021, there's a share consolidation. 1st of December, another £8 million of fundraise and accelerated book build. Okay, so there's another fundraise on top of the 65 million they've got in debt, and then some other bits to come in a minute. So January 2022, they talk about their frontier asset, and they talk about 51 square miles of asset. And there's 3 horizontal wells per mile squared that they can fit in there. And each well can produce anything from 1,000 to 3,000 BOPD per well. So that's brilliant. Again, amazing assets. All of these assets are absolutely superb. No one can deny that. Again, it's getting it out of the ground. For minnow companies, it's hard. It takes a lot of money. And yes, so all these things about money, it's nothing new for anything we're going to put in our podcast in the future. It's going to happen in every single company. It takes money to make money. It's a common thing, but it's how we use that money and the wise use of that money, and really uplifting production or their product is the bit we always talk about in our podcasts. Next, April 2022. They've talked about the Wyoming potential and the 1,900 BOPD they've uplifted. Brilliant. Then, April 2022, we hear about another loan, bridge loan of 20 million for this Cuda Energy, and then an equity placing of 10 million. So again, there's some more assets that they're purchasing, which is good. Again, there's lots of debt now, and bridge loans and different things going on. So you can understand now, they're kind of running before they can walk slightly, and they should have probably focused on one asset, got that good instead of making loads and loads more debt on the business. I understand they want to be huge and take advantage of probably rising oil prices, as they come along, and different things like that, or pick them up cheap while oil's low. There's lots of things companies do, but sometimes you just need to make some profit. It would be nice, wouldn't it, if a company made profit in a small cap space. Next, May 2022, another results. Net sales are now 1,114. Okay, and they're saying it's due to rise. Then, in 22nd of July 2022, this is when we start to get slightly more interesting, because there's a new financing to replace that bridge loan for Cuda, and they're saying it's ahead of getting a reserve-based loan facility. A reserve-based loan facility. So that's where you prove the reserves, prove it works, get a loan to develop it. Okay, and I'm going to come on to that in a minute of my thoughts on that. So, £25.2 million to get a refinancing, basically, of this CUDA loan. So that's more than original, so 5.2 million more. And it's broken down like this: 12.6 million, which is going to mature in 2024, and 12.6 million again, which matures in 2025. Okay, there's also a tap feature, okay, to get funds when they need it, essentially. And they talk about it going to the main bondholders, and bondholders being great. Then, literally, the next month, 2 bond conversions straight away. They didn't hold on to them long. They sold straight away. And there's loads of bonds here. The numbers are insane about the amount of bonds per 12.6 million worth. But maturity date obviously is there. So September increase in reserves. There's 47% increase in 1p reserves, which is great, and value. So again, great. Assets going up. Yes, some refinancing has happened, but assets are going up. So good. Right. September, bond issue. October, bond issue. November, bond issue. So all happened in 2022. Okay. And that is 2022 nearly finished. But then in November 2022, 1007 BOPD compared to 961 last year. But you can hear the figures I'm talking about. In September, now this is where I start tracking back. September 21, there's 1,604 net. So I'm hearing it decreasing and decreasing relatively rapidly, and that's a concern for me when I start reading these figures. Clearly, they need to make sure that it increases, okay, over time. But it's not. It's not at the moment. But we're going to talk about gas gathering system in a minute and different things. So obviously there's going to be some hiccups, but we need to improve it. 21st of December, they've put an RNS about minimising hedge losses and restructuring their hedges, which is good. Again, sounds great. January, more bonds converted. February 2023. So we're nearly there, guys. So yeah, we've gone back to 2021. We're nearly there. So we've had lots of debt added to the business. We've had 20 million, 85 million, and 8 million book build, refinancing that 20 million for these bonds that keep getting converted, and it's putting a sort of a downward spiral on the SP, and a sort of stranglehold really on top of the senior credit facility stranglehold that's happening in the background naturally. So the first time in February 2023 we hear about a 2.9 million payment to the senior credit facility. That's the only time I saw it in an RNS. And please correct me if I'm wrong on that. If you find something where there's a payment to them and it's decreasing their debt, please let me know. Okay, they talk about an 8 million net loss to their hedges, but we know they've kind of minimised that as much as they could with that work in December 2022. And they're working on gas gathering system improvements to improve their BOPD. And they said the average is 1,550. So again, gone back up again. So well done them. BOPD is going up. They've made a payment to their debt. So good RNS, I think, because they're paying down debt, increase in BOPD. February, again, 2 bonds converted. March 2023. So this is when they start refinancing the bonds. So the new bond agreement is now been upped to 13.6 million. Okay, again, they talk about in preparation for the RBL, the Reserve Banked Back Loan, and or the JV negotiations. Now, I haven't gone into JV negotiations much in this work here, but the thing is JVs are all well and good, and terms and those sort of things. But if they don't come off, there's no real point talking about them. And they've been talked about a lot with Canadian Overseas Oil and Gas. And if they come off, boom. It is awesome for shareholders. But I'm not going to talk about that too much because in my opinion, a JV is not going to pay off debt. They're going to pay for project level funding. They're not going to clear the massive debt there is across the company. They're not going to clear all that money. Now, if they do, that'd be amazing. If they provided basically a big funding agreement to clear debt and then put project level funding in, awesome. It would be amazing. And I would be so happy for shareholders, because it's been an absolute torrid time for longer holders. The new holders won't know all this. That's why I'm giving you a timeline. But the older holders, it's been so tough. So I would love that for you guys. But, you've got to have your doubts sometimes and play the risks. Now, the good thing is they've restructured their bonds. The 2024 bonds are now 2027. The 2025 bonds are now 2028. So the maturity date has changed, but they're still going to draw them down. But it just kind of takes away a small stranglehold on the company. April 2023, which is the December 2022 accounts, 1,177 barrels of oil per day. And the gas gathering system is getting sorted. And then 2 bonds are converted. May 23, gas gathering system is in construction. Basically, what's happening is they want to inject gas into the field and pump it essentially up and get more oil out of the ground. And that's the plan anyway. May 23, we have got the gas gathering system being constructed. June 23, 110% up in production using this bit of gas and injection. Great stuff. Good. But they haven't actually finished the gas gathering system yet, but they've kind of trialed a few things, and they're showing some really good uplifts in production, 110% up, which is great. Again, there's the hope for everyone, that when they do stuff, it makes a difference. Then in June 23, they reduced the admin costs of $1 million per annum. Brilliant. Again, so reducing admin costs, upping production, using money wisely, great. July, two bonds converted again. Coal Creek, letter of interest and JV. Again, there's another JV talking about that. But again, let's not focus too much on that, because you don't know how that's going to come off. And we can't put all our hopes on something that might not come off. And when COPL really, debt-wise, are relatively hamstrung, any JV, they're going to know this. Okay, these people aren't daft. We hope they are, and they just buy in. Okay, but it's not always as good as it seems on paper. Okay, August, gas gathering systems completed. Okay, September, new CEO appointment, a new chairman. Arthur's moved to be president, affiliate. They're saying about the senior lender being supportive. The bonds have been changed for a conversion price of 4p. I think it was something like 6p before, if I remember reading, 5 to 6p before. And they then announced 8.5 million in new liquidity. So we're nearly there. Okay, we're nearly at the present day. So October 2023, equity financing at 4p. The senior debt, bit of restructuring and hedge, brought in basically a saving of 13.5 million for the company. And they've waived the interest from October to January 2024, saving £3.5 million. Now, I thought about this, and I thought, a waive of interest from October to January saves £3.5 million. Now, I'm glad they put that in the RNS, because this was the one that really stood out to me. They make basically October, November, December, January, 4 months. Okay, that's 3.5 million in just interest. So imagine how that is accruing over time. So that's just the interest. That's not the paying down the debt. That's just the interest on the side. No wonder they're making losses. No wonder the bonds need to be converted. And, this is the thing. It feels to me like a bit of a stranglehold in the company. But the new CEO, John, did a great job talking about 2,000 BOPD. That's what he wants. Then he can see COPL through with good funding for a year. Now, this interest, though, it's not waived, really. It's called a PIK, a payment in kind. So it's going to be added to the balance. So that only is pushing the cart along the road a bit with that. So then we get to today. Okay, today's RNS. The October equals 1110 BOPD. November, 1136. Sales of 5.8 million, and that's the lowest yet. So, I was saying track the BOPD, track the money, track the sort of work on loans and bond payments and different things. Now look here, okay, we've got the lowest ever really sales for a long time. We've got BOPD net that is no better than before. So what I will say is, in summary really, is that the future, if they can get to 2,000 BOPD, they've got a shot. Okay, the new CEO looks like he's a bit more progressive. He's working hard, which is great. The team have worked on this gas gathering system. So the hopes ride on this really. The gas gathering system needs to come off. This is their kind of, I personally feel, apart from the JV suddenly come out the woodwork, I think this gas gathering system, this works and it proves there's 110% uplift for different things. It should easily work, shouldn't it? Because all the wells and the wells they bring online, the recompletions, they should smash it. Absolutely smash it. So that'd be great. There's your hope, guys. That's what you need to focus on. But underneath all this, they've got to service the debt and they can't go above 2.5 million in the bank. Will this RBL come off? This sort of loan, reserve loan? Well, are they going to provide any money to a company that can't service their debts? Because the loan is a debt. And like with any of us as people who want credit, they want to know if you're a risk. At the moment, personally, I think COPL is a massive risk in terms of servicing debt. They haven't serviced any. They've basically gained debt over time. And they've not proven that the reserves can cover debt. So the loan, will they feel they're going to get their money back? That's the question. JV could come off. That's the biggie, and the gas gathering system at the moment, and keep going. Now, remember the dates like March 2025. Remember the risk management contracts, February 2024. The bond conversions are now pushed back to 27, 28. And they just need to be sustainable. They need to get sustainable profit into the company. Start paying off their debt, prove they can pay debt, prove they can up their assets, and then they're going to smash it with an RBL JV. Great. But there's some serious things here which need sorting to get to that point. Okay? So I wanted to give you the balance. The assets are brilliant. The potential is brilliant. It just needs a steady steer and the ship to be sailed in the right direction with the right efforts in the right way, and this can turn it around. But it's going to take some serious hard work to get there and some serious amount of debt to be paid down, including the bonds that are going to keep getting converted. So I wish investors all the best. Anyone that invest in this, I hope I've given you a balanced summary of the timeline of what's happened before. I hope you enjoyed it. It's another big timeline one from me. If you like what you hear, we've got a Telegram group where we focus on research and facts and digging into all this stuff, and the link is in the description. Have an awesome evening. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you everyone tomorrow.